Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever you are, wherever you are, whenever it is for you. For me, it's about 3:45 in the afternoon. Hey, Jane. And we're in beautiful uptown Kyiv, in Rose Alley again. And I'm going to take a walk down here to the park, and I hope you'll join me. I've been doing these walking tours of Kyiv, and people find it interesting. Let me flip the camera around here. Tours of Kyiv, and people find it interesting. Let me flip the camera around here. And then I'm pretty sure there's a park down this way, but I've never walked that way, so this will be a first. Hey, Coffin. How you doing, buddy? Hey, Danielle, Arthur Jarman. I mean, look at the colors on these things. Look at how big that blossom is. There's roses all over this city. People grow roses here. Look at these blood reds. People grow, wow. Look at this. For comparison. Look at these mauves. So we're just gonna go down here. I mean, look it, you feel like Alice in Wonderland. Call out the Red Queen. And off with their heads. Right, Coffin? Who would want to blow this place up? It's ridiculous. Look at these. Little white with a pink kiss. Hanging baskets, that's Calabrotia, which is just a petunia cultivar for anybody that gardens. Hey, James. How you doing, bud? We're walking around Kyiv. We're in Rose Alley. Probably in the United States we'd call it Rose Lane, but here they call it the Alley of Roses. And it stretches about 1 kilometer behind me. We're just coming up to the end of it here. And then we're going to take a left. Hey, Brian Kornbaugh. How you doing, bud? I'm out for a walk in glorious uptown Kyiv. Look at these salmons. I don't know how the color comes through on this phone, but let me tell you, it is just a vibrant profusion of color. And this is right near the Pechursk metro. I'll show you the metro is up here. And this area is a regular target of missile and drone attacks. There's a park over here where a KH-101 came down one time. And then there's another civilian building that got hit by an Iskander about, well, that must be 2 years ago now. Look at that. Just look at the size. Look at the size of it. Hey, Andrew. And you can see that these are well pruned. The city gardeners have been through here doing some early fall cleanup, it looks like. Deadheading everything. Clearly that's been done. I am in Kyiv, but it's K-Y-I-V. It's not Kiev. Kiev is the Russian pronunciation, the colonizer's name for this city. So we don't say Kiev anymore, we say Kyiv. K-Y-I-V. A friend of mine actually has a company. They make purses and bags that say on the side, Kyiv, not Kiev. I can hook you up with her if you'd like to buy one. You are not wrong, Mark Charles. Hey, Ricky, I'm doing okay. How you doing, buddy? No problem. We all had to adjust, right? It's a changing world. There's no two ways about it. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to be one of the people left behind. I'm already old. I don't need people thinking I'm a relic. Right? I may not know what yeet means, but I know it's Kyiv, not Kyiv. Hey, Tisno, how you doing, buddy? You get to the beach this year? You spend any time swimming in the Adriatic? Tisno's our buddy in Croatia. I see we got some Americans here and some Europeans, which is nice. I don't see any of my friends from New Zealand or Australia, though. Where's the land down under? Now here I can show you that. I think I can show you this. I don't think they'll mind. But if you take a look here, so right across the street, that's the metro. That's the Pechursk station. The neighborhood here is Pechursk. Look, they got a KFC. But I got to tell you, KFC in this country is fucking terrible. I do not recommend it at all. You can't even get a breast. I mean, it's crazy. Absolutely crazy. So this area, you can see post-Soviet collapse, residential block, apartment blocks over here. Then you have all this Soviet brutalist architecture right around the square, including the Board of Elections. So this building here, where's the Ukrainian flag? There's usually a big Ukrainian flag on top. Oh, it's there. There's just no wind. So the Ukrainian Board of Elections works out of that building. And they're the folks who are tasked with running elections in this country, which, under martial law, according to the Constitution, are not permitted. And there's a lot of good reason for that. You've got an enemy whose favorite hobby is election interference, who doesn't do anything better than interfere in other people's elections. Then you got the question of the 4 million Ukrainians in the temporarily occupied territories. How are they going to have a say in any election that were to happen? You know goddamn well the Russians are not going to let them vote. That's not a thing. Not to mention the 7 million Ukrainians that are out of the country. How do you get their voices heard? And in the country, how do you let people line up at a polling place when you know the Russians are looking for concentrations of people to bomb, and they would love nothing more than to hit every Ukrainian that's standing in line to make their voices heard? It's insane that the Kremlin insists on this notion that the Kyiv regime must be replaced before peace is possible. The only reason they think that is because these are the people who have stood up to them. I love this place. It's got a real Tudor feel to it. It's got a real, 16th century England feel to it. I don't know what it is. It might be a restaurant. Let's see. Right, isn't it charming? Looks like they got a moose on the wall there, or a reindeer. Might be a reindeer. Boy, I do not know. It doesn't look like it's much of anything right now. I mean, that's a hard thing. How anybody is still in business in this town is beyond me. The economic conditions are very difficult. Now look at that. You just look at that apartment block and you think, Stalin. It's impossible not to. Hey, Maddie Wright. How you doing? How's everybody doing today? Hey, there's Solar NZ. Nice to see New Zealand here. Tisno was swimming in the Adriatic. Nice. Master Hayden, how do you do? Hey, Pingu. Hey, Dennis. Thanks for the follow. You think it was a moose? I'm not sure. The rack didn't look quite right for moose. Now this street, ooh, we should go down that street. Not today, but down that street is... Now this street, ooh, we should go down that street. Not today, but down that street is... I know his last 24 hours were no fucking fun at all. That is for sure. Hey, Guard. How you doing? Hey, Jay, I'm in Kyiv. Kyiv, Ukraine. You might have heard of it. They have a program on the TV called The News, and sometimes they talk about this place. Not nearly enough, in my opinion, which is why we're walking through town right now. Notice the profusion of trees and green spaces here. That's really a big deal. And a lot of those trees, of course, are the symbol of Kyiv, the chestnut, which unfortunately is having a hard time of it right now. I can show you here. If you take a look at these chestnuts, well, no, wait, that's a maple. Never mind. Never mind, that's a maple. We'll find some. They're all over the place. There's flowers everywhere. Everywhere you go, just like Manhattan. Flowers, flowers, flowers. Thanks, Maddie. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Dennis, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Are you talking about chestnuts? I'm not a big fan of the chestnut. I'm not out there collecting them. Maybe if I had some horses, I would. But no horses in Ukraine for me. Look at those petunias out there. Thanks, Andrew. Hey, Angela. North Florida is huge with pecan trees. My grandmother used to chide us by saying that a pecan is something that a trucker uses, and a pecan is something we bake into pies. So it's just another glorious summer day, late summer day here in beautiful uptown Kyiv. The kids are back to school, as I understand it. And of course that means that they are underground, right, in a lot of places. Or their schools are equipped with underground shelters. Now, hey, I don't know if you can see them. Somebody cut down a bunch of them. But if you look at that building across the street, right, and then you look along that iron fence, you can see the pink there? That's a hollyhock. That's like 2 meters tall, right, about 6 feet tall. Beautiful color on them. Some pinks, some whites, some yellows. Really, really nice. But it looks like somebody's mowed a bunch of them down. It's late season. They're just about done. More obvious Soviet architecture here. You know, one of the things that we're learning in the course of this war is that the new construction, like this building here, this apartment building, versus the Soviet construction, when they get hit by shells or mortars or missiles, the Soviet buildings don't stand up. And so much of the population lives in housing from that era. It's a real concern. Oh, look, there's an electric bus. You can see the line there, goes up. They're all electric powered. There are, if I'm not mistaken, there are both gasoline powered and propane powered trolleys, trams, and buses. Right, like, see that one? That doesn't have a connection to anything. So that one's not electric. That one's running on gasoline or propane. Or if, and maybe it's not propane, it might be liquefied natural gas. Is what it might be. Oh, hang on, I think I know where we are. I think I know what this is. This is Arsenalia, isn't it? Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong. Let's keep going. Boy, look at that place, though. That's nice, isn't it? Hey, Julian Patel. Hey, Lars. How's everybody doing today? It's not 80 degrees here centigrade, but it's Fahrenheit. What is that? I think it's like 24 Celsius, whatever that is. But it's really nice out. No, I'm wrong. I don't have any idea where we are. What's this place called? Frou-frou. Frou-frou. I don't know. I'd probably eat in frou-frou. What do you think? Look, they got a nice deck out here. There's a nice breeze. Grand de Moutard. Sounds French. Oh, grain de Moutard. Now, I don't know what this is. Let's take a look at this. 24 Celsius is about 80, so that's about what it is, I guess. Buses run on LNG and they have tanks on the roof, says Guard. Nice. Ooh. Can you see that steeple there? This is obviously an Orthodox church or monastery, something like that. It looks like the windows might be stained glass. They may have boarded them up just as a precautionary measure, or they may have sustained damage at some point. I don't have a way to translate that. You need a gimbal. Mike, I need so many things. The list of things I need is very long. My PayPal is in the description if you would like to help. You're having good weather too, huh, Maddie? Nice. We're like uptown, like Pechursk. There is really a universality to flower bed cultivars. I mean, look if I just showed you this flower bed, you wouldn't know if you were in Jersey, Maine, Pennsylvania, or Kyiv. All the standards. Oh, this place looks interesting. right? Soviet apartment blocks, and then over here you got this pre-revolutionary building, Ukrainki. Historical, Mistecka, Ecologic. Looks like it's a Museum of Historical Ecology, but I'm not sure about that. Don't take my word on that. Lots of hostas, which in a town that grows a lot of trees, you would expect, because of course the hosta is a shade plant, and so they do very well in the shade of all of these trees. Now here you can see, okay, this is what I want to talk about for a second. Look at these chestnut trees across the street, right? So you have this one that's all brown, then a nice one that's all green, and then one that's all brown and one that's dead, right? That is a blight. There is a fungal blight on the chestnuts, the native chestnuts here. Not unlike what we had in the United States that led the American chestnut to extinction. And right now there is no money to deal with that. Every one of these trees needs to be sprayed, and that is just not going to happen till after the war is over, I wouldn't think. Unless anybody knows anybody at the American Chestnut Society who might have a little money, that would be great. Wow, look at this place. What are those lights over the door? I bet they're fun when they're lit up. This could have been painted by a Habsburg architect. It's got that feel to it, that's for sure. Okay, now there's a little green space over there, but no. I've got the wrong street, I guess, for the park. Oh, now hang on for a second. As I understand it, wait a minute. If you look at that building is Stalinist prefab cubes that just get glued together, basically. But if you look at this, a lot of these gold brick buildings were actually built by German prisoners of war after World War II. I'm in Kyiv. The Senator Business Center. I've never even heard of that, but boy, that could be right at 40 Broad Street, couldn't it? Looks like there's a little triangle park over there. Oh, here's a word I know, bankomat, which is Ukrainian for ATM. Dinners. Possessive. That's interesting. It's dinners, the place. Possessive. Look, you can see the chestnuts that are strained by the blight. They really stand out compared to the ones that haven't been infected yet, or maybe are resistant. I don't know. This never ceases to, I mean, there's so much modern infrastructure here, but I am still consistently blown away by the use of Latin letters and things all over the place. Police department. Look at that place. Some fountains over here. Nice place to have lunch. Right, so this is Kyiv, the city that Donald Trump says is destroyed. I think he's an idiot. You can see it's a pretty hustling, bustling city of 4 million people right now, we think about. You got your bicycle messengers, just like in Manhattan. That place looks more perestroika, doesn't it? Coffee shops and cafes everywhere you look. I don't know. I don't see an LNG tank on the top of that vehicle, but it's definitely not electric. Guard. Do you see it? Shadow monkey. School did start, yes. Which means that in places like Kyiv, the kids are going to school down in the subway, right? They've converted subway platforms to classrooms so that the kids are more safe.
Я стою под этим магазином.
Wine. Wine. They have a place here called OK Wine. Only the Ukrainians don't say okay. They say oak. Which is, you know, it just feels odd. So it's oak wine, not OK wine. Are those geraniums? Boy, that looks like some of the healthiest pots of geraniums I ever saw. Look at that place. That could be right out of Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, couldn't it? Right, so down there, what looks like late Soviet, probably perestroika, glasnost time frame construction. Then these pre-revolutionary buildings. Everybody's got a balcony. It's one of the great things about this town. Now this, I can't say. I have no idea what happened here. This could just be regular construction happening. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything dramatic. Morris with one R and one S. That's interesting. Toyota, VW, Mercedes, for those of you interested in cars. This is what you see on the street. Hyundai. What is that? Does anybody know what that is? I don't know anything about cars. Oh, that's a cool building. Look at that. I mean, I'm guessing. I don't have any idea. But it looks modern to me. Though those balconies are right out of Art Deco. Look at them. Looks like they've got a rooftop up there for activities. Nice. Oh, these guys, they make great gelato. Big fan. Big fan of the gelato. They love a rounded wall in this town. A lot of rounded walls. Integral Bud Business Center. Looks like the Integral Business Center. Figaro, 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 Figaro. Wow, catering. Love a caterer. Minotti. I don't know who Minotti is. Skoda. No Skoda in the United States. Never saw a Skoda till I came here. The Sapphire Business Center with its blue windows. Usually we ask people to rose tint our world. These people blue tinted it. Trattorino Il Milano. One of the few places in this town with a good pizza crust. They do have a good pizza crust. I wish they would improve the quality of their sauce and mozzarella, though. Now, I'll tell you guys, I do think, as soon as there's any kind of secured peace, when the shooting stops, I do encourage everyone to come here. It's a great town. There's something to do. I might just do walking tours. That might be a nice retirement for me. Doing walking tours in Kyiv. And when all of you come here, I'll show you around. I'll tell you, if you love food the way that I do, there is so much good food in this town. Really, 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 really. I'm not sure. I was thinking about maybe going down that side street, but I think we'll stay on the main drag here. There's a lot going on, and I think we're going to get to the river pretty soon. I don't think we're that far from the river. Julian, that's a great question, right? Here's the problem. There's no insurance, pal. Now is the time to buy. Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. However, it would be easy to lose your investment in Toto. So, if I were a person that had, 7 figures to invest, I'd probably buy 10 apartments and hedge my bets. Even if you lost 2 of them, you will double your money in 10 years. I'm absolutely convinced of that. If Donald Trump doesn't tank the global economy completely, that is. He's certainly doing his level best to try. There's one of those many sky cranes I've talked about. It's hard to know if the construction on that building is continuing or if it's suspended. When I first arrived, I counted over 115 sky cranes, but 94% of those projects were on hold. A lot of the construction has restarted since then. However, not all of it. Not by a long sight. And these buildings now have been standing for 4 years, exposed to the weather. It seems unlikely that most of them will be able to be completed. I'm not sure Airbnb is doing a lot of business in this town right now. Nobody should be coming to Ukraine without a plan to help. You should have a contract through some NGO, and you should have a plan to participate in the life here. Nobody should be coming here as a tourist right now, in my opinion. We just saw the Russians yesterday target a humanitarian demining convoy up in the Sumy direction. And 2 of those, I think they were Dutch, 2 Dutch deminers were murdered by the Russians yesterday. Hey, Carol. I was in Illinois right before I came to Ukraine. I got a good buddy there, Dan Woodman, in Bloomington. Bob Cuba. Now look at this. Just take a look at this here. Hold on. Right, you have this pre-revolutionary facade, but then if you look inside, this is very clearly a super modern garage, right? I mean, this is the kind of dichotomy that exists around every corner of this city that just turned 1,543 years old. This place has been consistently occupied by the same people for 1,543 years. You know, you pull genetic material from the graves from 1,000 years ago and map it to the locals now, and you get lots of commonalities. Now, it's 80 degrees out, right? 24 Celsius. But all along this stretch, we're walking in the cool shade of the trees. It makes a difference. Oh, hey, there's an interesting feature. I do see these kind of towers or crow's nests on a lot of these, like 1950s construction. 24 in Suomi. Oh, there's so much good food and beer here. I mean, I'm not even a beer drinker, but I find myself having a beer once in a while. Because the Ukrainians, especially at Gonzo Bar, they make all their own craft beers. And they do a good job. Okay, now I have never walked this way, but there must be a way to get along the river, I would think. And maybe I can get to a vista and show you the river, which is gorgeous. Molodist. I don't know what it means. It's a nice rug, though. If you look at this, this could be a pub anywhere, you know. Old oil drums used as tables. Oh, wait a minute. Wait. No, I'm wrong. Never mind. I really do not know this city. Not yet, anyway. Boy, that's a nice balcony. Do you see it up there? Real Greco-Roman. You know, we've been doing this now for 2.5 years, and some of you have been around the channel for most of that time, if not all of it. And I gotta tell you, I think something is changing. I don't know if it's me, I don't know if it's the war, I don't know if it's both. But something is about to give. Something's about to change, one way or another. I can feel it. And it's not just oncoming fall. Look at these. How much fun is this? Giant mirror balls. This is Arsenalia. So this is a train stop on a different line from the Pechursk line. And I think that means we're nowhere near the river, that we're not going to get to the river today. I'm not sure. We'll keep going. Now, isn't that interesting? Look at that building there, has that kind of column portico there, and then the same thing over there. I don't know if they were built at the same time or if one was built to look like the other. Now, to get over there, we're going to have to go under here. And like I said, this is if I'm not mistaken, this is the Arsenalia station. Sounds like somebody's playing music over there. Let's go see. Thanks, Maddie. Hey, Evie. Julian, you're funny. Well, those fences, here, we'll look at them upstairs, that block the pedestrian traffic from attempting to cross the street, those are Soviet era. There's nothing new about them. On a lot of them, you can find kind of old Soviet symbols like stars and hammers and sickles. Old Soviet symbols like stars and hammers and sickles. Now look, this should all be businesses. It's all locked up. You know, like I said, the economy is suffering. I think gross GDP for this country is down 43% from pre-war this year. This is the thing that kills me. The singers are always singing in English. Metro, Arsenalia. So good, I got that right. Right, Nirvana, no less. Am I back? Looks like everybody's heading home after school or work. After school, it's 4:30. I don't think I've ever been back here, so I'm not sure what's back here. Let's find out. This looks like carefully scrubbed and renovated pre-revolutionary construction. Doesn't look new, looks old, but well loved. Ah, look at that. Some dancing fountains. Nice. Kids running through the water. Nice on a hot summer day. McDonald's, of course, because we just can't stop. Oh. The kind of thing you'd find in the heart of any major European capital on a hot end of summer day. Look, they even got a McExpress. Everybody's sitting outside eating. And what is this over here? Well, that's interesting. It looks like glass, but I bet it's metal. Let's find out. All right, that's fun. What's that remind you of? A carbon 60? No, they're like a resin composite. Oh, you could play them. Huh, neato. Creative States. I don't know if that's a repertory company or a restaurant. Sure. You know, everybody tries to frame Ukraine in the context of where East meets West, right? Which it certainly is. There's no doubt about that. The Mongol horde was at the gates, or at least at the edge of the Dnipro at one time. But what people forget is that it's also north meets south, because you've got the Viking influences coming down the Dnipro around the year 1000, right, Haugli? You have all that Nordic bloodline coming down the Dnipro right around the turn of the first millennia. And then, prior to that, you have 1,000 years of the Greeks coming up and establishing settlements in Crimea and around the Black Sea. So it's not just the story of East meets West, it's the story of North meets South, too. And the influences, I mean, look, if I just took that corner of the building, that could be any battlement in France, right? Now, looks like we're getting to the edge of the hill. And that means that down there somewhere is probably the Dnipro, if we can get a look at it. No, this is not a lookout. And I don't even see the river through the trees. I see a highway. I probably came the wrong way. We're probably nowhere near the river. Oh, but look at this. There's a nice forest path through here. I wonder where this... I don't know if we want to go. There won't be much to see on a forest path. All right, let's head back out to the main drag then. Looks like this is a dead end. A lot of Greek influence in Ukraine. Now, it's ancient, right? You got amphora recently dug up from about 300 BC is what they think. And you've got Greek settlements in Crimea that date back that far. Snake Island, right? The famous Snake Island, where the Russians insisted on their surrender, and the Russians were told, fuck off. Remember that? That is supposedly where the tomb of Achilles is. Achilles, the great hero of the Trojan War, one of the most famous Greeks of the Greeks, is said to be buried on Snake Island. One can't call Cyrillic and Greek, the alphabets, one of the same, but Methodius and Cyril borrowed some of the characters from the Greek alphabet into Ukrainian, or into the Slavic languages, into Old Church High Slavonic, and then down into all the Slavic variations. Which I think is why the D in Ukrainian looks so much like a delta. Oh wow, we didn't even see that before. Oh, that's just construction. But I didn't turn around. Something over there was being constructed. I don't know that it still is. We just made a loop around. We're coming back out around Arsenalia. And we're gonna go back and pass this kid that's singing Nirvana, or whatever he's singing now. What is that? That looks like maybe an old cannon or air defense gun. Hard to say. I don't know what it is. Oh, hold on. I don't know. Some kind of towed artillery, mortar, gun. Anybody know? Take care, Brian. Well, Patrick, it's hard not to when people are trying to kill you all the time. And that's exactly what's going on, pal. Make no mistake. Now, you can see, though, we've been walking for 45 minutes, right? We have not come across a single area or spot that's been directly hit. This is a huge, sprawling city. While the Russian attacks are deadly and destructive, and you hate to minimize the impact of that, but from the perspective of intimidating the locals or slowing down the war effort, completely irrelevant. I mean, the campaign against civilians and civilian infrastructure here, while it is awful and a war crime, in terms of the war, it's meaningless. It's absolutely meaningless. Every strike does for the Ukrainians just what every blitz during the London Blitz did for the Londoners. It steals Ukrainian resolve to never once again live under the yoke of Russian oppression. It's a pointless campaign that is futile and failed. Morning, laddie. Hey, Frank the Tank in Connecticut. I have family in Windsor, well, East Windsor. I'm supposed to make that distinction when I tell people. Kherson is in trouble. But Kherson is a unique situation, unparalleled anywhere else in this country. In Kherson City, the distance from the civilian population to the enemy is 1.5 kilometers. And that, of course, is the Dnipro River. That means that the entire city is within artillery range of the enemy, as well as FPV drone range. And so I want to say before the war, and somebody should check me on this, maybe correct me if I'm really wrong, but I think the population of the city was 350,000. Now, when I went there, they estimated that there were still 50,000 people there. But now I just saw that they think that number is down to 26,000 because it's unlivable. Because you've got the goddamn Russians training their drone pilots by hunting humans inside of Kherson. That's what's happening there. And again, that's unprecedented. It's not anywhere else in this war because the city is adjacent to the front line. It's a true frontline city. I mean, I guess the good news in that is that the river separates them, and the Russians have a lot of trouble getting over rivers. And there is no easy way for them to surmount that river. Now, this is the park I was thinking of. It was just much farther than I thought. But this park is great. Wait till I show you what's in here. I love this park. Okay. Let's see. Mariinsky Park. Boy, I don't know. I really don't know. Like when these are from, if maybe the marble is older, and then the decorative iron pieces were added later. Not sure. Don't know. Now, there's a great fountain up here. We'll start there. Then we'll go to the sculpture garden. Love the sculpture garden here. Boy, this is a lot closer when you come in a cab. What's that? Red salvia? Baby's breath? I'm not sure what that... I guess it's just a privet. Ah, look at these snowballs. They're going to be gorgeous in another week. Right now they're all lime, but by next week they'll all be white as snow. Now that shrub there with the white berries, Dad had some of those out back, but I don't know what they're called. Here's the fountain. Doesn't look like it's on. But from here we can go down the hill into the sculpture garden. Oh yeah. This is a great park. Hydrangea. The only thing is, when you say hydrangea, right, Maddie? People automatically think of nature's pH kit. If the soil is base, they go blue. If it's acidic, they go pink. And those snowballs, they're always white. They're not pH sensitive. Oh yeah, right? See those lion's heads there? They've got it roped off, and it's just not running. But that's okay. Sculpture doesn't sleep. Here we go. Let's walk down the hill here to the sculpture garden. There's one piece. I think I'm in the right place. Yes, I definitely am. I definitely am. Here we go. Look at how lovely. So much cool green space in the heart of a major metropolitan city. It sure can be, Maddie. Heck, I've grown hydrangea where I made one side of the plant acidic and the other basic, so I got a rainbow from pink to blue in the flowers. You can easily do that. I recommend it. It's fun to do. All right, let's take a look at some of the stuff here. It's a wide range of styles, if I remember right. It's a couple years since I was here. So this looks like I'm not sure. And no explanation. What do you think it is? Do you think it's a postmodernist fetal position? Or maybe an egg cracking? Well, Julian, thank you. Makes me happy. Maddie Wright says rebirth. I bet that's a good guess, Maddie Wright. I think you might have a point. This country ought to adopt the phoenix as its national bird after this war. Now, what do we have here? This looks like limestone. And it looks like lovers. Oh, kiss me, Stella. Right, look at that. Look at that birch. Boy, I'd like to tap those in the spring. Make me some birch beer. A lot of this. I'm pretty sure this is limestone, isn't it? Now that looks like it was two dancers, right? The head, the arms, the legs entwined. But the weather is not kind to a soft stone, to a soft sedimentary rock like this. I think that's what I'm seeing. I'm not sure. Now, yesterday, when we were out walking with Dragon, we noted that some of the monuments were protected by sandbags and protective enclosures. This city is so full of art. I don't know how you would possibly protect it all. Oh, this looks like a Leda and the Swan interpretation. Look at the swans, right? The wing, the head, the beak, the neck. Two figures entwined on top. Possibly Zeus and Leda. I don't know. Could also be a Ukrainian mythos that I'm not familiar with. But again, given that Achilles is supposed to be buried in this town, in this country, it would not surprise me one bit to find sculpture inspired by Greek mythology. Hey, Chrissy Locks. I didn't say sandstone, I said limestone. But I'm not sure. It could also be a composite. It could be like a concretion. There must be a guide online someplace to this stuff. I love these pieces. I mean, I don't think they mean much of anything, but they are sort of reminiscent of ancient petroglyphs, right? Like a sun spiral over here, Greek lock and key design here. That looks like a stylized sun to me. Same there. Now, I don't know that these have been knocked off their bases, or if they are intended to look like this. It is possible that we're looking at some vandalism, but for the 2.5 years I've been in the city, they have been off the bases like this. So, I don't know. One would think if it was just a matter of straightening them back up again, somebody would have taken care of it. So that makes me think that them off the bases is some part of the author's intent or the designer's intent. Okay. Maddie thinks it's symbolic, and you could well be right, Maddie. I'm 100% certain that some of the pieces that were here the last time I was here are not here. I mean, I'm 100% certain of that. which is interesting. I don't know where they might have gone to. All right, kids. I think it's about time to call it a day. Anybody have any questions, comments, points of observation before we end? Let me see if I can find a park bench to sit on. Oh, there's an empty one. What a great walk. I can't tell you how much I enjoyed it. And you know, I was saying before that I do think something is changing. You know, for the last 2.5 years, every time the Ukrainians scored any kind of a win, I was right there on top of it, right? Telling you about it, talking about it, what the implications might be. But now things feel different to me. They really do. Thanks, Laddie. Thanks, Carol. Things feel fundamentally different. The Ukrainians have demonstrated quite clearly that there is no target inside Russia that they cannot hit, and that their capabilities continue to expand and grow. And that can only result in one thing. I was looking at the global production of crude oil numbers. The Ukrainians have been walking this razor-thin line between wrecking the Russian economy and wrecking the global economy. Because the global economy used to depend on Russia for 5 million barrels of oil a day, right? And if that 5 million barrels of oil a day were to suddenly disappear, it would be chaos in the global economics. Absolute chaos. So the Ukrainians have been hobbled by their inability to strike at their enemy's most significant weakness because of the potential impact that it would have on their allies. Well, look who's helping us out with that. Mohammed bin Salman, acolyte to Vladimir Putin. 2.5 years ago, OPEC Plus took 5 million barrels of oil off the market every day. They reduced production to send up the price, right? And buoy up their buddy in the Kremlin. Well, here we are, 2.5 years later, the world threatened by global recessionary pressure because of Trump and his insanity. And what do we see the Saudis doing? The Saudis have put 2.2 million barrels of oil into the global supply a day. They have increased production 2.2 million barrels. They are still down 3 million barrels. Now, like I said, at the beginning of this war, the global economy depended on 5 million barrels of oil from Russia a day, right? What are we getting out of Russia now? 3.22. The average daily production for Russia, export volume for Russia, for the year 2025 is 3.22 million barrels a day. They're down almost exactly the production coming out of Saudi Arabia, the new production coming out of Saudi Arabia. That is not an accident. That is by design. The Saudis are buoying up the global market by replacing what the Russians can't produce. And we know that OPEC and its partners can ramp up production another 3 million barrels a day if they want to, because that's how much they've knocked it down in the last 2.5 years. They can replace all of the Russian supply. I think the writing is on the wall. The Ukrainians have been extremely patient. But my God, every single day Ukrainians are dying. How much longer can they expect to be patient? Especially in a world that does not give them what they need in order to win the war. And allies like the United States just walk away from them into the Putin camp. Obscene. I think that what's changing is not the situation on the front, which is still terrible and miserable and a nightmare for everybody. What is changing is our confidence in the Ukrainians' ability to absolutely wreck the Russian economy. We know they can do it. They're building the flamingos now. All of these small-scaled strikes against oil infrastructure that have been made with drones, yeah, it's been a problem for the Russians. Yeah, it's slowed production. Yeah, it's led to a crisis in petrol availability inside the country and diesel availability inside the country. We see kilometer-long lines of traffic waiting to get their gasoline in a country that is nothing but a gas station with nukes. Ukraine has all the telemetry from all of those drone strikes against all of that oil infrastructure to program flocks of flamingos to do the kind of damage that will bring Russia to its knees. Chef Deb, I wouldn't say that. I think that that's overstating things. I think what is true is that we now know that Ukraine can make it toast. They can toast that bread on both sides, baby. TKS Daddy, I'm not sure what you're saying there. And Russia had 2 specials too close, which were captured. I don't exactly know what that means, pal. Not even 80%, 20% right now, Maddie. Literally 20% toast, right? Literally the refining capabilities of the Russian Federation at this juncture have been reduced by, we think, somewhere between 17 and 23%. So 80% toast, or 20% toast. So there's a lot more to go, right? But even at 20%, 1 in 5 gallons of gasoline is not getting on the market. Hence, we see the rationing of gasoline out in Kirill, right? You can't buy gasoline out in Kirill if you're not a military or business. Consumers, no gas for you. We see rationing of 7 liters a day for consumers out in, I can't pronounce, it's one of the Perms way out in the Far East. And of course, the worst stories are coming from the Far East and the temporarily occupied territories, because when empire dies, it dies from the edges out. And so we're seeing plane crashes, helicopter crashes for lack of maintenance out in Amur region. We're seeing railroad infrastructure falling apart because there's no money, expertise, or parts to repair it out there. It all goes to the military in the far west. And so the edges of the empire are fraying. There's just no doubt about that. We've heard reports that up in Kamchatka, which is one of the far, far east provinces up near the Arctic Circle, there are stretches of highway that you can't go down because they're controlled by bandits. And they will charge you a fee to run on the road. There is a breakdown in basic law and order happening. Chrissy Locke says that the BBC correspondent in Moscow said 20% yesterday. So Chrissy Locke, was that Steve Rosenberg by any chance? Because I love that guy and he knows what he's talking about. Thanks, Brittany. Steve Rosenberg, baby. Right now, I said between 17 and 23%, so right down the middle, 20%. The fact is, it's very hard for us to know. You know, Intelligence doesn't tell us everything. They have to make their deductions based on things like how many workers are showing up today. Are we seeing plumes out of the extraction units? Are they burning off excess gas that's unneeded? That kind of thing. So it's awfully hard, but about 1 in 5 gallons of gasoline are not being created inside of Russia right now. And that's a problem, because not only do you have the full-scale invasion and the entire Russian army to supply diesel to and jet fuel, but you've also got harvest time. It's September. It's time to bring the wheat in. It's time to bring the corn in. It's time to dig up the potatoes. And you need diesel to do all of that. And that's a problem right now. That's 1 in 5. 1 in 5 gallons of diesel isn't getting to the market. We all know that there's an export ban in place, right? No refined oil products can be exported out of Russia. They're keeping everything they produce for themselves. And production is down. Production is down. And it's a combination, not just Ukrainian strikes against infrastructure, but it is very definitely a production problem inside of Russia too. The Russians are not making their daily quotas. July was down 28,000 barrels a day from where the quota was, at just barely 9 million barrels a day, down from 11 million barrels at the start of the war. That's right there is 20% of the production. Not quite, 17. All right. Other questions, comments, anything from anybody about anything? All right, so guys, I'm going to close out then. Maybe I'll make a short appeal here. I am going to Sofia at the end of the month for a week. It is not really something that I can afford to do, but I think it's important. If anybody can help with that, that would be great. I sure appreciate it. All right, kids, make it a great day, and I'll see everybody in tonight's live. Take care.